first grade. Today I'm coming at you to read Bigfoot Cinderella. Last week I read to you what most people know as the original Cinderella, and if you've ever seen the movie, then you know that that story is pretty much the same, where Cinderella has an evil stepmother, two evil stepsisters who do not want her to go to the ball. They make her clean, they make her do everything around the house, and she finds a fairy godmother. She ends up going to the ball, she loses her shoe, and the prince comes looking for her everywhere. Finally, he finds that the glass slipper fits her, and they live happily ever after. So like I told you, I have a lot of different versions of Cinderella. So we read The Rough-Faced Girl, we read the original Cinderella, and today it's Bigfoot Cinderella by Toni Johnston and James Warhola. Every year this is one of the class's very favorite books, so I think you're really going to like it. Once upon a time, in the old growth forest, a band of Bigfoots lived. An enormous snag towered above the other trees close to their camp. Inside its hollow halls of bark lived a dashing Bigfoot prince. He was tall and dark as a Douglas fir, with feet like cedar stumps. He was as odoriferous as his treehouse was coniferous. So odoriferous means he had like a terrible smell. And so horrendously hairy that Bigfoot women near and far longed to marry him. So it's the opposite from what you normally would think. He smells so bad and he's so hairy that actually everyone wants to be around him. Whenever they saw him lurching along, they blocked his path like deadfalls. They draped wild flowers around themselves. They batted their matted eyelashes to stun him into love. But the prince loved nature best. "No pick flowers!" he bellowed at them in a voice as rough as bark. So they all wanted to decorate themselves, but he loved nature, and he knew that if you pick something from nature, then you're actually hurting it. In this place, there lived a Bigfoot woman and her 3 daughters. Well, really only 2 were hers. The third was a stepchild. Oh, I'm making a connection. Just like the original Cinderella, there's a daughter with 2 stepsisters. The daughters were puny things with dinky feet, almost furless as Bigfoots go, and as sour as little green berries. They spent their days bathing and picking their teeth with fish bones and sleeking their fur with pine cones. For fun, they threw rocks at spotted owls. So terrible. The stepdaughter was just the opposite. Nearly as woolly as a mammoth, golden as a banana slug, with feet like log canoes. She loved nature and would harm no creature. Her stepsisters despised her and they made her work. Despise means they didn't like her. They really disliked her. Although her name was Ella, they roared at her so much that everyone called her Rella. Rella fix fire! Rella catch fish! They forced her to comb her fur and stick wildflowers in it. If she tugged them out, they put back twice as many. A lot of you right now are probably thinking, wow, it sounds like they're bullying her. They're targeting her and they're hurting her over and over again. In spite of this primping, Rella was sooty from the fire and stinking with fish. So they teased her like stinging mosquitoes. "You beast!" They laughed and held their noses. "You positive wreck! You absolute freak!" Then they bathed her a lot in the creek. Eek! She didn't want to be bathed. She liked being the Bigfoot that she was. One morning, Rella went to the river to get supper. She fished all day and tossed her catch onto the bank in a silvery pile. Suddenly, a grizzly bear appeared. He seemed hungry. Rella was bigger than the bear, so she could have shooed him away, but she was too kind. She let him have the fish. Wow, she has a kind heart. I love that. When she shambled home empty-handed, her stepsisters rubbed their bellies and bellowed, "Food! Food! Food!" They forced her to fish all night. So she did what was kind, and the stepsisters were mad because they wanted the food. But she knew that the bear probably needed it more than she did. Now every year, the Bigfoot Prince gave a great fun fest. There were gifts and food and games like Jump the Fire, Bear Cave Hide and Seek, and Hurl the Hemlock, but log rolling was the favorite. This This year, whichever woman rolled the prince off a log and into the river would become his wife. So they step on the log, they roll, and whoever's strong enough for the prince to fall off, that's who gets to become his wife. Rella's puny sisters hope to dunk the prince. When me snag putrid furball prince, me rule whole tree place, yelled the older one. Me pick all flower, the younger one grinned. Then they bellowed together, power, power, power. It doesn't sound like they really want to be with the prince, they just want to be important. So they smoothed their pitiful fur, then spruced up with wildflowers, and wearing fine bark clogs to grip the log, they clomped to the festival. Me go too? Rella hollered after them. She adored to sweat and win at games. Her sisters hooted so hard they fell down. You stay! Catch plenty fish. We catch prince. So they were not going to let her go to the festival. They said, you have to stay home and get fish since you didn't get fish last time. You were too kind and gave the fish away. How Rella longed to go. Sadly, she stared at the river. She saw a fish jump. She made a wish on the fish. Me wish go fun fest. Me wish dunk prince. Heartfelt wish is true wish, growled a gruff voice. And so you go. I wonder who that voice could be. Who do you think it is? Rella spun around. She was staring at a bear, the very one she had given fish. Who you? She asked. Me, your berry godfather. Just like in the original Cinderella, but they said berry instead of fairy. Get it? Rella was overjoyed, then underjoyed. She mumbled, me got no bark clogs to keep on log. Feet's too big. Me no be bug brain, snorted her godfather. He swept the air with a paw and instantly an enormous pair of clogs appeared. So now she has the right shoes, just like Cinderella had the glass slippers. Rella tried them on. They fit perfectly. Then the grizzly waved a paw over her and poof! The wild flowers she wore were dust. So all the flowers that her sisters had put in her, gone. He patted and matted her fur and it tangled like the very forest floor. Now she's back to how she wants to be. She boomed, thanks, and gave him a crunching hug. Be back sundown, he warned, or you be like sisters make you. No furry and smelly, but plenty flowery. Rella wasn't worried. She had lots of time. She skipped off, shaking the whole forest as she went. So just like the fairy godmother said, be back by midnight or you'll turn back to how you were before. That's the same warning that her berry godfather gave her. At the Fun Fest, there were Bigfoot women from every clan. The games had begun. One by one, the woman leaped onto a log where the prince crouched, ready. One by one, he dumped them into the water. Rella's stepsisters hated games, but to catch the prince, they'd do anything, even give logs a twirl, and they hoped a good drenching might even wash off his stench. But they never got the chance. When their turn came, the prince saw their wildflower chains and glowered. He tossed them in the water, snarling, no pick flowers! He didn't like that they were rude to nature. The day grew late. Everyone had tried to win. Everyone had failed. The Bigfoot prince rumbled, rats, no bride! He was about to slouch home when thunk! Rella bounded onto the log, pounding her chest and whooping, me don't prince! You think she'll be able to do it? Grunting with all her might, she spun the log like a big twig. Then she gave it a twist and floop! The prince flopped into the river. She did it. There was a stunned silence. The Bigfoots were slow-witted, so it took them a while to figure out what had happened. When at last they began to chant, bride, bride, bride! So she was going to be allowed to be his wife, but the sun was setting. What happens at sunset? Do you remember? Rella saw that and rushed into the dense trees, shrieking, eek! Just as her matted fur went sleek and wildflowers began to sprout, she had turned back to how she was before. The prince lurched from the water, dripping and crushed. His dream woman, shaggy as the forest floor, smelly as a fish, and strong, was gone. Scratching his craggy head, he slumped down on a boulder. Drat! 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 He gnashed his mossy teeth. Where my stinking he saw one big bark clog. Hers! Now perhaps he could find his princess, just like in Cinderella. She leaves her glass slipper behind and the prince finds it. This time it was the big clog shoe. The prince shuffled from snag to snag, cave to cave, lugging the lost clog. But though all the Bigfoot women treaded on, it was too large for anyone. The moment he reached Rella's cave, her stepmother and stepsisters pounced on the prince, wrestled the clog from him, and jumped into it eagerly. Their feet were so small, they all fit into it at once. Then Rella bounded up yelling, "Me try! Me try! Me, me, me!" She did, and her foot fit the clog like a seed in a pod. It means it fit perfectly. When she pulled out its mate, the Bigfoot prince knew he'd found his bride. He thumped his chest and roared with joy. The stepsisters roared too. In tantrums, they yanked up some wildflowers and saplings. Their mother kicked the prince black and blue. Uh-oh. They were not happy. Soon, there was a rowdy wedding in the old-growth forest. Everyone was invited. Even Rella's stepmother and stepsisters could come because they have kind hearts and they wanted them to be there. If they followed these rules carefully, no pick flower, no pull tree, no kick royal family. And that's the end of Bigfoot Cinderella. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. I am going to be polling the names for who won our Spirit Week books. So remember, there's going to be 5 winners, so come back, see if you're there. And I'm also going to do some of our very favorite songs tomorrow. So come back and join me. Missed you. Talk to you soon. Bye.